Okay, I want to go over some of the problems from the homework that is due now on Friday, which is tomorrow. Originally, it was due on Thursday, which is today, but now it's due tomorrow. Some of the things on the homework were kind of confusing, so I wanted to make sure that you understood. So hopefully you're watching this video. So looking at number 1, it says the drawing shown below is not drawn to scale. Answer each of the following questions based on the diagram. Each portion of this problem is independent, this word independent, of the others. So it does not depend on your previous answers. So when you do number 1, you have to do part A using this diagram based on given information, and then you have to do part B based on the same diagram, but you have to do it as if you were given different information, okay? So let's go ahead and do it. Let's see. So let me erase this. All right, part A. So if you're given the KJM, so KJM is going to be this angle here. KJM is 22 degrees. And KJL, I'm going to color that something else. KJL is 84. Find MJL. So MJL would be this entire thing. So if you look, MJL is just a combination of the two that we just talked about. So if that's the case, we should just be able to do what? Think about it. Hopefully you came up with the answer pretty quick. But if we were to just add those, we would get 106 degrees for MJL. Okay? Now, for part B, I used the same diagram, and I want you to now use the same diagram, but let's just say you were given different information. Okay? You're given different information. So let's just say you had this information that's on B. So let's just say you had LJM. Let's just say they told you that your entire angle here was 145 for the entire thing here. And you knew KJM, just this part, was 48. Then what would, they're asking you to find LJK, which would be just this part here. All right, so how would you do that? So I'm not going to go over that one. Hopefully you can do that one from there. Okay, looking at number 3. It says that NPQ, which is the entire angle, is 9x minus 25. So this entire thing is 9x minus 25. And then they said, now they give you the two smaller angles. So they say NPQ. So NPQ is going to be just this one. And that is 3x minus 5. And then NPN is going to be this one right here. So that is 4x plus 12. So they're asking us to find the numerical value of QPM. So QPM, now they also try and trick you a little bit. QPM is the same as what angle? Hopefully you realize that QPM is just the same as NPQ. All right, so once we find the value for x, we plug it in here, and we'll get our value. So what's the equation? Well, we have the whole angle, and then we have the two partial angles. The two partial angles are represented by 4x plus 12. That's this one. And that's NPN, which is this one here, right? And then the other one is NPQ, which is this one. So if you add those together, you get the entire angle, which is represented by that. So now what you need to do is solve that for x, plug it in, so you can do the rest. I want to write down something here also. There are going to be pretty much three options that typically are going to happen when you're dealing with equations and angles. You could have angle is equal to another angle. You could have angle plus angle is equal to 90. Remember, if they're complementary, they add to 90 degrees. You could have angle plus angle is equal to 180 if they're supplementary. Remember, if you have vertical angles we talked about, your angles are equal. We'll come across that. If you have two angles that are complementary, they add up to 90. Two angles that are supplementary add up to 180. Now in this case, you actually have angle plus angle is equal to the whole angle. So it's really the smaller angle plus the other small angle. They both add up to make the whole angle. So there, go ahead, solve for x. And plug it in, don't forget to plug it in. All right, again, this was kind of confusing, so go over this. All right, it says straight angles are extremely important in geometry. When two lines intersect, they form multiple straight angles, 4 straight angles. In the diagram below, lines GM, so GM is going to be this one, GM, and FH intersect at E. If any of the 4 angles formed is given, all other 3 can be found quickly. So fill in the table. So this is kind of like problem number 1. I'm using the same diagram, but let's just say you're given one of the different angles. Now, let's just say, and I'm going to cover it, let's just say you're given that angle GEF is 120. All right, so GEF is 120. That's this one. If it were 120, could I find the other ones? Could I find FEM? Could I find this one here? Well, think about what happens. What do these two angles make? That looks like a half circle to me. So remember, a line, they are actually a linear pair we talked about, which means they add up to 180 degrees. So whatever this angle is over here, this angle plus this angle have to be 180. So 120 plus what is equal to 180, right? And hopefully you know that this is going to be x is equal to 60. So FEM would be 60. Okay, now what's MEH? MEH is here. Okay, again, when you have two lines that cross, you have 4 multiple straight angles, but you also have two pairs of vertical angles. So actually these two angles, so I'm going to erase this now. So this angle and this angle are vertical. If you remember back to our packet, that means that they are congruent, equal measures. So this one is also 120, and the other one is actually going to be, so we found FEM, that's 60, and this one and this one are congruent, so that must be 60 also. Okay, now, you have to imagine now that you're using the same diagram, but let's just say you're given different information. So now let's just say they told you that MEH was 150. Could you find the other ones based on that? All right, so MEH now, let's just say we were told it was 150. Could we find the rest of the angles? So could we find GEF, which is this one? Well, hopefully you see that they'd be vertical, right, and congruent. And you can go through and do that. Then for the next one, let's just say you're given this piece of information for this angle. Could you find the other ones? Okay, so I used one diagram, but I was just saying, okay, what if you were given this information? What if you were given this information? So you could fill in the chart from there. All right, and I think that's it. Let's look here. The last problem. I'm not going to go over this last problem here, but I will say that it's going to either, it's going to be one of the three options. It's either going to be angle, okay, I'm not going to go over this entire problem, but it's going to be one of your three options. You're looking for the value of x. You also want to find the numerical value of these two angles. So it's going to be one of your three options. It's going to be angle equals angle. It's going to be angle plus angle equals 90, or angle plus angle equals 180. You have to determine what it's going to be based on what you see here. All right? Once you get that value of x, take that, plug it in here and here. Make sure to do that so you get your actual angle measured. All right? So that's the end of that. Hopefully it helped you out.